Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello, on all the different platforms. Look at this new look. How do you guys like it? I have a temporary set of eyeglasses on. I'm actually really digging it. And I actually have something really fascinating with it. I have like a clip on something that goes on top of it, then it becomes like a tinted glass. It's pretty cool. Anyways, welcome everybody to today's live on Cultivating Clarity. This is my number one topic that I have super fun playing with, engaging with in my own life from time to time. Because there's one thing that I know about universe, and it's this: when you ask for something, universe delivers. Now, a lot of times when things are not really going super well for us, it's because our asks are not clear and we don't really know with clarity what is it that we'd like to have. What are we asking for? And there's another flip side of it. Sometimes we get so like there's a way in which in the world you might hear about this similar conversation around cultivating clarity that is super mind oriented, where you are thinking and figuring out your way to clarity. I don't know about you, but for me, that has never worked. Figuring out or being in my head is a space that always diminishes my creations. So give me a hands up, like say hello, say yes if that's you too. And I wanted to invite you guys today on a bit of a different conversation with clarity. Because, yes, clarity is, in a broad sense, if you look at it, one might wonder it's about getting specific about the details. Sometimes that could be true, but what I've found is what's actually required is your energetic clarity, showing up with clarity, showing up with a level of knowing and certainty in your space that guides you. So you don't need to know the specifics already, and sometimes you do, but there is a space of clarity that you could embody. When you embody it, things show up in a different way, things move in a different way. You're not so much in your head, not so much in the figuring out, but more in your body, more in the presence, more in action from a totally different space, not the rush, not the urgency, not the doing, which is sort of like that adrenaline rush way of creating, right? There is a different energy and space that I'm inviting you guys to when I'm talking about cultivating clarity, which roots in your presence. Clarity of being that stems from your knowing, as again like a conversation I think we have all very very often here, and a conversation I have with myself so often. In fact, if I could show you, like, I have a fireplace, and in a lot of different places in my house I have these post-it notes where I have this question written, would an infinite being choose this question mark. And to me these are like some prompts in which I in my everyday life remind myself that who am I functioning as? Am I an infinite being, or am I like a finite pile of shit? What am I showing up as in this moment? So, like, these are some questions that I like to play with a lot. And I like to invite you guys to ask them for yourself. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you're an infinite being. I'm going to invite you to ask it to yourself. Look at what do you get? Because we here talk a lot about cultivating trust in yourself. That's a conversation that's super close to me, a conversation around which I've built my business, which is around really just cultivating a level of presence and trust with yourself in which you are not like lost in your head space, but your presence and living your life, not from like this traumatic PTSD energy, but from true relaxation of being. And so, those of you guys who've heard my story in the last 1 year, I've had like some super massive changes. Like my life, I actually recently told somebody that this last 1 year for me has been the most transformative year of my adult life. And a lot of it really invited me to start cultivating clarity in a completely different way. Now, let me give you a little bit information more about what do I mean by cultivating clarity, and what why am I saying that it's not something that you do with your mind, but it's a presence you have with an energetic clarity. So, many years ago, I used to really, be in that rushed energy. Like, so anyway, taking a little bit of a step back further, I found access consciousness, which is the tools that I use to create my life for almost a decade, over a decade now. And these are the tools that invite you to basically start being present and congruent with your life from an energetic point of view. These are the tools that sort of empowered me to let go of the mind paralysis and the figuring out and being in the head all the time, and discover a completely different way of being that somewhere I had always known should be available. So, what do you know? What have you always known should be available? And so I found access consciousness about like 10, 11 years ago. And when like everything changed in my life, one of the things now, when I on a retrospect look back, occurred that changed everything for me was that I started engaging more on an energetic level. And one of the basic tools that, if you were to ever take an access consciousness class, which begins by something called access bars, you will learn in that very access bars class, is the tool of light and heavy, which is basically just an awareness that everything that's light for you is what's true for you. The energy is guiding you all the time. Sometimes we call it our intuition. Sometimes we call it, like, we can call it all these different names: feeling inspiration, not feeling good about something, not getting a good feeling. Like, a lot of times in the world, we use that kind of language. But to me, it really resonated to simplify and clarify that it's essentially energy is telling me all the time, it's guiding me all the time based on just showing me that the lightness is what's true for me. Now, what happens a lot of times is that this very tool of light and heavy gets misunderstood, abused. I'll tell you how. So, what I see a lot of us end up doing with this tool is that, oh my God, this is not feeling good. So, this is not light for me. And this is feeling better. So, this is what's light and this is what I'll choose. That sort of like throws out a little bit off the track from what the tool actually is and what it can contribute to you. So, what I have found is that it's really not about the feeling of light and heavy, it's about the sense of light and heavy. And I've played with this tool in so many different ways, but there's one particular energy that I started cultivating presence with that allowed me to really hone in on how to even use this tool in a totally different way that works for me. And that tool sort of invites you to start engaging with, what is the energy I'd like my life to be? That question. So that is what I'd like to also invite you guys to start looking at. That look at, what is the energy you'd like your life to be? And yes, sometimes you might get information about, you might have done some sort of vision exercise in which, it talks about, okay, visualize what's the kind of house you want to live in, visualize what's the kind of car you want to drive, how much money you'd like to have, what kind of relationship you'd like to have, and all that kind of fun stuff. And once again, those exercises never really worked for me. And what I discovered eventually down the line was, it's not that they're entirely BS, but just that the way we engage with it, like when we engage with something with just one of our senses, like vision, it is limited by that. If you're just looking for how your life would look like, it diminishes you from perceiving something even greater than that. So when you, instead of going into what's the vision of my life, or what is the life, how would I like my life to look like? When you change that from that perspective into, what is the energy I would like my life to be? That then becomes an invitation for you to look at even those things, like the house that you want to live in. What does that contribute to you? What is the energy that having of the house brings and contributes to your life. So that's one of the key questions and one of the key things that I've personally found to be such a shortcut to cultivating clarity for yourself. What is the energy I'd like my life to be? Getting more and more and more and more clear about what that is for you then becomes sort of like a guiding light. So when you get more and more sense of what is the energy you'd like your life to be, then you know that is what the space of lightness and expansion and possibilities is for you. So then what occurs is when you're navigating in your life, you can, instead of asking the same question, but playing it differently, instead of asking, okay, what's light is what's true for me, what's heavy is a lie, is this light? Is this heavy? Instead of going into sometimes even the mind fuck with that question, you could just look at, wait, is this the energy I'd like my life to be? Yes or no? Because if it's not, I'm not going to choose it. I'm not going to choose it. So that's exactly literally that one piece of awareness. I don't use light and heavy from that place of, okay, is this light? Is this heavy? I always use light and heavy from the place of, does this match the energy I'd like my life to be? No? Okay, never mind. It's just, to me, having that's the clarity that I've cultivated. That's always helped me. I'll create so much of shit in my life. And it started with my relationship. Like that, my relationship area was the first place where I applied this tool. When I first found Access, this was like 11 years ago, and I was in a relationship where everything on the books looked pretty cool, but it wasn't working for me. Like I wasn't truly as happy. Basically, now I know I didn't have these words back then, but basically, that relationship did not match the energy I would like my life to be. And I could perceive that. And here's the cool thing about it: you can only perceive energy, you cannot think about energy. You cannot look or visualize energy, you can perceive it. So it also, what this question sort of starts to do is it starts to invite you into a totally different way of being and functioning and operating in your life. So, and by the way, if you're here listening to this, starting as of when I'm recording this live, starting in a couple days, let me give you a date, maybe August 26th, starting August 26th, in my Facebook group, I am actually doing a clearing on a 7-day challenge on a very specific clearing and a very specific way in which I use this question to sort of like recalibrate in my life. Anytime I feel like I'm getting off or that I'm losing a sense of me or I'm losing a sense of clarity, this is my go-to clearing. So I'm actually inviting all of you guys who are interested in to come play, join me over there. And for 7 days, we're going to be running the clearing together. We're going to be engaging with the tool. I'll guide you, I'll show you rather how I am using this tool in my life and how I've used it in all the different areas to create change, and invite you to use that for yourself too. Because the larger work that I do is about cultivating trust in yourself. And to me, cultivating trust in yourself is a very intimate space, a very intimate space to cultivate with yourself. And it requires you to have clarity to begin with about what is it that you like to have in your life, right? So anyways, I applied this area, literally this question, this energy to change my relationship reality, because it was easy for me to choose something different when I knew that what I'm choosing right now is not going to create what I'd like to have, because it doesn't even match the energy I'd like my life to be now. No matter how much it feels good, no matter how much it feels like things are working, but they're not. And how do I know that? Because it's not the energy I'd like my life to be. I'd like my life to be way greater than this, way more fun than this, way more happy than this. No drama and trauma, but creation and ease and contribution. So that's one area that I applied. I've also applied it to like my monetary reality, where I looked at, okay, cool, what is the energy? And that's something that it's an ongoing practice for me, honestly. Like it has never stopped. I keep engaging with what is the energy I'd like my life to be, and looking at how does money contribute to that? So I guess that's a conversation I'd like to go way deeper into in the challenge. So please join me, you guys, if you haven't already. It's free, and we'll make sure that we post a link in all of these places right after this. But so I'll pin that money conversation for later. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys here today is my most transformative year of the adult life, which was last year. And just to, I'm not going to go into the details of that. I think I did another Conscious Being, Conscious Living. I think the first episode of the second season that I did, I sort of shared a little bit of my story, and I want to share more of that as we go forward. But I'll give you an overview because I want to show how the clarity piece really, it's not just about what you want to do with your life, and it is a lot about what you want to do with your life, but it's literally about everything. So last year I started what felt like out of nowhere having massive amounts of crazy panic attacks. Like my entire nervous system, my body was shut in what's called the dorsal vagal response, which is basically where your body somehow gets so trapped. Your biology, your physiology sort of like gets trapped into the fight and flight and the survival zone. And even if there's nothing that's going on around you that's a direct threat to your to your survival, your body doesn't know it. So things like anxiety, worry, panic, even stuff like procrastination, overwhelm, a lot of them fit into that energy and category of that survival zone way of being rather than the thrival way of being, right? So my body, I'm so grateful for it because it showed me, like, for, I'm not even kidding, and I have been using these tools, I've been working with people using these tools, energetic tools, for 10 years. So this is also for anybody here. If you have practiced whatever you've practiced and something comes up in your life that it feels like everything has collapsed, please know, if there's one thing I want you to know, it's this: you're not wrong. Please start asking a different question. And the question I asked for literally almost every waking moment of my life, because I was so in the fear response, I didn't smile. I mean, if you guys know, anybody knows me here, you know, I love smiling. Like I'm a happy being. I know that about me. And there were, like, literally, I'm not even exaggerating, there was a 6-month period from like last July to almost December where it was hard for me to smile because all the time my heart was palpitating. I was having tachycardias and a lot of different things that, you know, you can go into wrongness with. And it's very easy to go into wrongness with. And I'm not going to lie, I did too. I did too. There were moments where I'd be like, something's terribly wrong with me. I think I've got some terrible disease and I'm just going to die, or I don't know what's wrong. You know, I used to have moments of that. And then there was a, you know, thankfully, the infinite being in me, the wisdom in me, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, was always there too, and was always guiding me that no, it's not light. None of this is light. It's heavy as fuck. This is, no matter how much it feels like it's true, there has got to be something more. Because if there isn't something more to this, then why am I even living? Like, literally, I don't want to live like this at all. I'm not interested in living like on medication with anxiety. And once again, if you are someone who deals with anxiety and is on medication with it, this is by no means me telling you stop your medication. This is me just inviting you that keep doing what you're doing and start asking some different questions. And so I actually went to asking, like, I'm like, I had no clarity in my life for like that period. It felt like everything's collapsing, and it felt like there was part of me that was like, what is it? For so many years I've been like facilitating using so many of these tools that talk about like energetics of stuff, and look at me right here. Where am I? What went wrong? A part of me did that too. But then there was a part of me that just knew, wait a second, I have got to now, more than ever, fierce up my presence with what is it that I'd like my life to be? Is this what I'd like my life to be? And no matter how heavy this is and how much gravitational pull this energy has, I'm not like, if this is what life is about, I'm out of here. There's got to be more. And so started asking different questions like, okay, what is the gift in this? What is the gift in this? Universe, show me what's right about this. What is the gift in this? And it felt, there were literally months, I'm not even kidding when I'm saying that, there were literally months where my dominant energy was, there cannot be any gift in this. But I relentlessly kept asking, there has to be a gift in this. Show me, universe, what's right about this. And my body started showing me a lot of different things. There's a lot that I know today that I wouldn't have known at all had I not allowed myself and cultivated like presence and trust in myself throughout that journey. And one of the key questions that really helped me throughout that 6 nightmarish months, and by the way, my glasses, I'll talk more about it. My temporary glasses are also related to a lot of like, in the last 1 year, my education background, by the way, guys, is in psychology. I'm a psychologist by education. We studied psychology for 5 years. I studied about nervous system, how your vestibular system affects your nervous system, how your visual or ocular system affects your nervous system. I read about all of that, but when you actually get to experience it, it's a totally different game. So anyway, I say that because like one of the things that I was holding on to, that was sort of like my when how do you put that, like if you're drowning and you find like a log of wood and you just hold on to it for your dear life. So it was my log of wood, was this question: is this the energy I'd like my life to be? No. So what is, it's not going to help if I continue being reactive to, continue, if I like be in submission to what's showing up. It's not going to change anything. I've got to choose something different. And that, in fact, one of the gifts of those many months, for me it felt like a lifetime, to me, was that I got to cultivate presence with the energetics of living and the pragmatic energetic way of like shifting energy and then changing things, because my business is different now. It's growing more than ever before. My relationships are thriving in a very different way. My monetary reality has changed, and it doesn't really make sense because that same, I personally got to know in those 6 months so many people who with very similar stuff have been struggling for years and decades. And so to me, it was like really that my log of wood was really cultivating clarity with, wait a second, I know this feels very important, this feels very real and very significant. It feels like my body is dying or something's terribly, like it was as physical as that it could get. I was literally having symptoms, that physical symptoms in my body that can be diagnosed as multiple things, and people were starting to do that. And that's where I was like, no, 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 we're not going there. What is the energy I'd like my life to be? What is the energy I'd like my life to be? So basically, there's a one particular, like I said earlier, clearing around that. And I can actually, it's an access consciousness clearing. And what that basically does is it allows you to start letting go of, how sometimes that heavy stuff becomes so dominant. It gives you space to let go of that heaviness bit by bit by bit by bit. So the lightness of you, which by the way hasn't disappeared, it's just been temporarily covered by this heavy pile of shit that sometimes, shows up as not feeling clear, sometimes shows up as feeling stuck, sometimes shows up as feeling anxious or even panicky, sometimes shows up as being overwhelmed or doubting yourself even. So this heavy pile of shit, just it basically just covers up temporarily. And that temporarily sort of is like our biggest key to freedom, but it temporarily covers up that lightness of space that is you as an infinite being. So that's like, what's the gift in that? The gift in that is that once you're willing to function from the awareness of what you know to be true, from the awareness of your own knowing, you can start cultivating clarity in a completely different way. There is no mind involved, there's no thinking involved, there's no, you know, analyzing involved. There could be some of that in action, but not from mind space at all. It begins with you starting to align yourself with the clarity of space, of what is it that you'd like your life to be, what is the energy you'd like your life to be, and allowing that to be the guiding light. You may call it like your lighthouse. If you're like a ship in a storm, that can be your lighthouse that guides you to your coast, and the coast being you. So I am so excited, you guys, to be like, I don't know if you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. This is literally a clearing I give 100% of all my clients. Like, literally, this is how I begin my coaching things. And throughout the duration of, like, a lot of times my clients, I have clients that have been working with me for even more than a year. And so throughout, it's a clarity that we keep cultivating, because if you can, the word is cultivating. We don't get to a destination and then we have it forever. We've got to keep cultivating that. We've got to, like, if you stop watering a plant, what is going to occur? It's gonna die, right? So it's not a place, it's not a destination, it's a journey. It's the gift you get to give yourself, the gift of nurturance, of cultivating clarity with yourself. And that one piece of clarity can guide you in so many non-linear, magical, amazing ways. And I know that because I've, yes, of course, seen so many people that I work with use it in so many different ways. Everyone uses it in their own different way, but also because I have used it in my life in all these different areas, and I've seen that it works, and it works like nothing else does. It shortcuts your way from a lot of drama, trauma, struggle. So I say that because I really want to invite you, if you haven't already, come play with us. Um, and I really specifically wanted this particular challenge to be like a free challenge, because it opens up like so much space and then gives you so much more awareness about what you would like to choose next for yourself. It doesn't have to be something with me, it could be something with me, it could be something completely different. But main point here being that once you have the level of clarity that gives you a sense of you, then you get to have more clarity from that around the specifics of what else is possible. So let me know if you guys have any questions still hanging on here. I know some of you guys, oh, I see some comments here. Yeah. So let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to tag me and comment me. I'll respond to you later if the live is not active then too. And we'll share the link for you guys to join us. We're starting this new adventure called Cultivating Trust in You, the beginning. It's going to be a new group that we have very recently started, and Cultivating Clarity is the first thing that we're doing in that. So come join us, play with us. And if you have any questions, feel free to tag me and ask me. And if you're listening to this in the future, I am pretty sure this is still a relevant conversation and we still have their groups somewhere. So if you cannot find it, please ask me in the comments, tag me or whatever, and we'll guide you to what we're playing with right now. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today on this very vlog style conscious being, conscious living episode on Cultivating Clarity, where I got to share with you a little bit of how I've used this one tool that has changed everything for me. So I look forward to seeing you around somewhere, and until then, have fun. Mwah.